Welcome to the Love Your Story podcast. This is Lori Lee, and I'm excited about our time together of telling stories, evaluating our own stories, and lifting ourselves and others to greater places because of our control over our story. This podcast is about empowerment and giving you, the listener, ideas to work with in making your stories work for you. Power serves you best when you know how to use it. Today's episode 23, I want to introduce you to Marvin Cassler. I found Marvin sitting at a booth representing the Pacific Crest Trail, also known as the PCT. And this trail starts at the Mexican border and climbs straight up the U.S. to the Canadian border. Endurance, perseverance, perspective, these are all at the heart of every PCT journey. It's a place where people discover not only the trail, but what they have inside themselves. And as it turns out, Marvin has not only hiked 1,025 miles of this trail, but he's also hiked 3,200 miles of the Continental Divide Trail, 800 miles of the Arizona Trail, and 500 miles of the Colorado Trail. He is what is known as a section hiker, and today he is with us to talk about the very purposeful creation of the exact life he wants to live. Hi Marvin, how are you?
I'm doing great. Life's good. Awesome.
So one thing I noticed is that you are known by a lot of names, and I want to start here because I believe those names will kind of help you explain all the parts of your life. So you're Marvin Cassler. You are Mr. Cassler by your third graders. Oh yeah, he's a third grade teacher too. And Maverick is your hiking name. And where does Coco come in? And why so many names?
Okay, well, Coco comes from the time I spent 13 summers as a wildland firefighter for the Salt Lake BLM. I worked for the Bonneville Hotshots for 7 years and Salt Lake Helitack for 6. And we had a lot of guys. We had a crew of about 20 people, and all our guys on the crew were males. There's a lot of testosterone there. And if you know the story of Coco, the lowland silverback African gorilla, and Kiki, I believe it was Jane Goodall, when you're out there for 14 days at a time fighting fire, you get pretty hairy and scary and smelly. So Coco, the lowland silverback African gorilla came. And I'm a pretty big dude, so that's where that came from.
So Marvin, one of the things that I think is so fascinating about you is that you live a very unconventional life. You have chosen, you're a third grade teacher, which is super normal, right? But then you actually have chosen not to live in a house. You've chosen to take lots of vacation time and go hiking on these trails. Even during the school year, you just have a really original way of living, of creating your very own story exactly the way you want it. And so many people don't think about living outside the box, and you not only think about it, but you absolutely do that. So would you start with telling the listeners, kind of give us an overview of the life you've created for yourself and how you live?
Okay. The first thing is I like to live life kind of on my own terms. Life's short, and basically I'm just trying to live it to the fullest. I do have a teacher's salary. If you have a mortgage and all that stuff, a significant other, it gets pretty expensive, and there's not a lot of things you can really do. You could do a couple vacations and stuff, but my deal is, one, I like to kind of reside in a storage unit. I have a 12 by 30 storage unit. I have everything I need in there. I have a Toyota Prius that I have. I like to pull my Prius in there. I'll sleep in the back of my Prius. But what this lifestyle does for me, I'm able to, with the money I have that I save, I can do my trips, especially in the summer, these long section hikes that I like to do. And then I'm also obsessed. Well, I don't know if it's obsessed, but I'm a super fan for the University of Arizona Wildcats. And I like to attend as many sporting activities as possible. So for me, living in Salt Lake City, Tucson, Arizona is the home base for the University of Arizona. So every game for me is an away game. The last 2 years, I went to every home and away football game. And I enjoy going to the games. I dress pretty silly. I have my beard is blue. I wear a Viking helmet. But I like to interact with the fans, take pictures with them. And I think that's the big thing, having them having a smile. But my other thing is my hiking. But the lifestyle that I provided, the simplicity of living in a Prius in a storage unit and not having those expenses have given me the opportunity to go, do as much as I want. So.
Okay, so with that, you also have chosen not to have a significant other, and you obviously don't have utilities. And we were talking earlier, and you're saying, in the summer it's really hot in the storage unit. I mean, you have to actually make some real life sacrifices to create the story you want, and you're okay with all that.
Oh yeah, I'm totally on board with it because again, life is short, and the important things in my life that make me happy are one, hiking. So all summer I'm gone. So I'm not in the storage unit in the summertime, but it does get warm. It does get warm there when I do come back, to teach in the end of August and in May. But I have ways to cope with that. There's fans and stuff like that. But or I'll actually drive the Prius up in the mountains and then sleep up there where it's cooler. But again, I am gone all summer, living the lifestyle I want, living the life I want. Walking, hiking, being in the outdoors is a meditation for me. The 9 months out of the year when I am school teaching, I do yoga, the Bikram yoga, which is a meditation also. But, in the summer I'm out there, I'm with Mother Nature. I'm meeting other hikers, like some of my best friends or the hikers that I meet. That lifestyle is about, living life to the fullest, doing what you want, and being the super fan, being the hiker, the section guy. That's what it's about for me.
I notice you have a lot of followers, both as a super fan and as a hiker. You have lots of friends and people that are excited about following you and what you do. And I've seen your pictures of the super fan. Crazy, like literally, if you guys can picture those guys on the front row at the games, the crazy painted bodies, all that. This is him, and he has I'm going to call it a costume, not sure what you call it, but that you wear every time you go to these games, right?
Yes, correct. Yes. It's basically a Viking helmet that I bought on Amazon. I painted it Team America red, white, and blue for University of Arizona. I put decals on it, and then I wear a basketball jersey. I like to get the sports shorts. That's my thing. And then even when I'm hiking, I have a pair of tiger stripe orange shorts, and then I wear red canvas sneakers, and and I paint my beer blue. That's a big thing. I get a lot of compliments on that. And then I just get those little tatty stickers that the cheerleaders wear, and I put them on my face. So I'm known as the #AZ Viking. So that's what they know me out there as.
Okay, so tell us some of your stories, because you have to have some great stories. What's a really memorable hiking story, and what's your most memorable Arizona Wildcat superfan story?
Okay, well, I would have to say memorable, sketch one or, scary one would be in 2015, I was on the CDT in Yellowstone, and Yellowstone National Park. I came around the corner, and there was a grizzly bear coming up the trail. It was probably about 30 yards away from me. And I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, yeah, this might be the end of Maverick or Coco or Mr. Cass or whatever you want to call it. And the one thing they tell you to do is to look big and to yell and make a lot of racket. And so the first thing I did, my heart rate went up, as you would, think, but I yelled, "Hey bear," as loud as I could. And this thing took off. It didn't see me when it was coming up. It was just doing its thing coming up the trail. But when I yelled, it just took off. And then for probably about 30 minutes, I was like, wow, that was pretty cool. That was pretty intense. Like every emotion you can think of, came up. And then, there's been a couple times, especially when you're in Colorado and you're at 10,000 feet, the lightning storms, the monsoons come in around 2 or 3, and there were a couple times I almost got nailed by lightning, and you're just like, wow, that's, I'm still alive. And those are probably the most memorable. And I would have to say the Wind Rivers of the CDT and the Sierra Mountains of the Pacific Crest Trail are just amazing places to be a part of and see.
Listening to your stories, with the amount of mileage that you have covered, the beautiful places and things that you must have seen. I mean, it's just, when you have that many thousands of miles, it has to be phenomenal. The sunsets, the sunrises, the beautiful expanses of mountains and lakes and streams, and what a beautiful way to get to spend your summer.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's amazing. I'm out there with Mother Nature. It's a meditation. And I'll admit there'll be times, like you said, a sunset, I'll almost be in tears, or I'll just just yell like, yes, this is amazing. This is what it's all about. I'm living life to the fullest. I'm doing what I want to do. I'm out here. It's just great. And then the people you meet out there, and you get to share it with them. Granted, I start usually by myself, and then I meet people as I go, and the other thing about it is just the journey. You never know what's going to happen day by day. And it's just like, it's a different, you do the same, routine. You wake up, you hike, you set your tent, you take a break and stuff. But then it's the people you meet, the views, the Mother Nature, the animals, all of it, almost getting hit by lightning, running into a grizzly bear, just coming around the corner, and, breathtaking view, just stuff like that. It's just amazing. It's awesome.
There's a beautiful simplicity to the way that you're living. And then there's also at the same time this intense level of adventure and unknown that you are creating, and that is unfolding before you as you walk that path. And you allow that to happen in your story because you put yourself in that space of, who will I meet today? What wildlife will I see today? What crazy miracle do I get to experience today? And that's truly a beautiful way to live. It's touching.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, I'll just give you a couple examples, just crazy things like this. And the world's really small. For like one example, I just got done doing I was doing the Continental Divide, and in 2015, and I just got done doing the basin of Wyoming, and that section's about 200 miles. And I was going to go on to Lander, Wyoming. I'm sitting there hitching, and this vehicle goes by, and the guy stops, picks me up. I was only there for 15 minutes. We start talking. The guy, he's like, wait, is your name Marvin Cassler? And I'm like, I look at this guy, and he's like, Andy Rosenberg. And we had met 10 years ago at my buddy's wedding. He was the best man at our buddy's wedding. So that was crazy. Yeah, very crazy. And he gave me an option. I can drop you off in Lander, or I can take you to my cabin. You can go water ski, in West Yellowstone. So, so I ended up doing that. And then he took me back to where I needed to be. And, I continued my hike. So, yes, I do have goals, like, the challenge of trying to obtain, like this summer, my goal is to do 945 miles. I have 80 miles I want to do in Glacier of the CDT. What happened in 2016, there were a couple fire closures. So what I want to do, I guess what you call this as a purist, I want to, do every step of the CDT. And then I'm going to do 317 miles of the Arizona Trail, which I've already done, but I'm going to go southbound from the Utah border to Pine, Arizona. And the reason why is, first off, I need to let snow melt in Oregon for the Pacific Crest Trail, and then 2, to get, back into hiking shape. And then after I do the AZT in June, I will do that week on the CDT in Montana and Glacier. And then I will be spending the rest of my summer doing the rest of Oregon of the Pacific Crest Trail. So on that section will be 517 miles.
Wow. I wish you the best of luck. You have a great adventure, a great story you're writing just this year.
Thank you. Thanks.
Do you have a great story about the superfan side of things that you want to share?
There isn't like one major thing. I think I can think of one thing that comes to the top of my head was 2015. I was able to attend the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8 in the Staples Center in Los Angeles, California, and my Arizona Wildcats beat Xavier in the Sweet 16, but yeah, they fell short of beating Wisconsin. But I met a lot of University of Arizona basketball players and celebrities, and that was pretty cool. But I think the all-around thing that I get from being the super fan, yes, I do like the attention, but the main thing is, intermingling with the fans. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm a wannabe mascot. I don't know what it is, but I love intermingling with the fans. I like them smiling. I like, the comments, and I like taking pictures with them. And I just like to share that aspect. Yeah, right now they have me on I'm in the Pac-12 tournament commercial. They have me there at the end, and a friend of mine just texted it to me to show me that I'm on there. So yeah,
You're famous.
Yeah, so which is cool, and I showed it to my students today, and they thought it was pretty awesome. And yeah, March 11th and 14th, this will be the fourth year that I go to the Pac-12 tournament. I'm meant to be there. So yeah, and then a couple of years ago, I was on the front page of the Las Vegas paper. So there's a lot of aspects why I like it, but I think the number one thing is getting the smile from the fans, the reaction. That's what I like about it.
Well, and it sounds like that's kind of one of the primary things that you enjoy about your hiking trips also is the people you run into that, you don't know who they're going to be, but that interaction, that social part it's always an unknown, but it's something that you get a lot of satisfaction out of in your story.
Yeah, I'm about documenting everything, and I love to be social. I love to interact with people. It's just it's part of me. I don't know, just life's awesome, man. I like to hear their stories. I'll share my stories too. But the cool thing out there when you're hiking is, when you're with people, like I said, those people are my, some of the tightest people I'm with, and I'm sharing it with them. And, we can look back and we'll laugh at it or, stuff like that. I keep in touch with all those guys, and I'm going to be back up there in Oregon, and a bunch of them that were hiking the Pacific Crest Trail live in Oregon, and they're going to be helping me out, with logistics and stuff. So it's a good culture, that hiking community.
So if my listeners wanted to follow you or wanted to get in touch with you, what are the hashtags or the websites or any way that they could interact with you?
Well, I'm like I said, I like to keep things pretty simple. And the only social media thing I have is my Facebook account. But you could look me up, Marvin Cassler, and I don't have any skeletons to hide. As long, if there's no, negative talk or anything, you could friend me on Facebook and you could follow me there. I have no issues there. I do not have an Instagram or Twitter. I don't have a web page. I basically, like I said, I want to keep life, simple. I take my pictures. I post them on Facebook. I'll have a little, some paragraphs of explaining like what happened in that section. And then I'll have little comments under the pictures. But that's basically it. Yeah. Too much social media for me, it complicates things. I rather have my time, just on one thing, focus on Facebook and document there, and it's easy.
I understand. So
yeah.
in parting, what advice would you give to people who wanted to create their story on purpose, do it their own way, just like you have? Any advice?
The one thing I would think of is try to figure out how you can live life on your terms. I know we all have bosses, but just try to remember that life is short, and try to find time for the things that make you happy. Find time for the things that make you happy. I think that would be the number one thing I could tell them all.
Thanks, Marvin. I appreciate you sharing your wild, crazy, and purposefully crafted story with us. The bard William Shakespeare said, "This above all, to thine own self be true, and it must follow as the night of the day, thou canst not be false to any man." So, if you live true to yourself, create the story and the life that you wish to create with your time here on the earth, we'll also be living in authenticity, and not only with ourselves, but with our fellow men. So be it a life of painting your face and traveling around as a super fan, or hiking the longest trails across the country in short shorts, or creating something that's a little less extreme, you have one life to live and create your story. So live it and love it. Right, Marvin?
I agree. And you know what? You said one thing there. Be true to yourself. That would be my other advice right there. Be true to yourself.
Parting words. Have fun out there creating your story, guys. We'll see you next week on the next episode of Love Your Story podcast. And in the meantime, we'd really like to hear some of your stories. So please log in to www.loveyourstorypodcast.com and go to the contact page. Share with us something about your story, and maybe we'll use one of your stories on the podcast. Have a great week.